Shout out to Rudy Gobert, man. It had been a really ugly series for him for the first 4 games of Timberwolves vs Lakers, but he saved perhaps his best ever playoff game for Game 5, and the Wolves completed the gentleman's sweep on the back of his absolutely monster performance. Gobert finished with 27 points, 24 rebounds, a couple of blocks, and an entire night of dominating the Lakers in a series that really just didn't seem suited to him before this game. Now we know what you're going to get with Gobert: dunks, layups, offensive board work, and defensive stability, but in Game 5 we got it all, and really he was a product of how the Wolves simply outmatched the Lakers in this whole series. Obviously, a lot of his dominance in this game started with his ability to destroy LA on the offensive glass. He had 9 offensive rebounds, but that came as a direct result of how helpless the Lakers' defense was as a whole. Because their perimeter defenders were so bad, Gobert's man was always helping way off him to build a wall on that second line of defense, and that was giving Gobert these free runs at offensive rebounds all night long. Minnesota just consistently found mismatches all series, and in Game 5, Gobert ended up being the beneficiary of those mismatches. Like, if LA is going to put Reeves on Julius Randle, Gobert's man has to rotate over to help, and if Gobert is properly spaced here in the dunker's spot, he's got a huge space to work with as an offensive rebounder. If the Lakers were able to play Minnesota straight up defensively, Gobert isn't able to roam free around the rim, but they just couldn't do that all series long. Even if they built this triangle wall behind the traffic cone Austin Reeves and managed to lure Edwards into this swarm of bodies, Gobert was still here unchecked, and finally in this series he was able to make the Lakers pay around the rim on offensive rebounds and putbacks. Now, the Lakers might have been able to survive Game 5 if that's the only way that Gobert punished them, but when Minnesota started consistently finding him within the flow of the offense, that's when he became an untenable force for the defense. I love the way he worked himself into this gap between the defenders here, so when his man steps over to help Luka on an island, LeBron gets stuck in the danger zone between Gobert, who has spaced nicely to the free throw line, and McDaniels, who's waiting there in the corner for a 3. We just didn't see Minnesota leveraging Gobert against LA's defensive coverages like this previously, but man did we see them hammer it in Game 5. The Lakers cycled through every defensive scheme in their book in this last desperate swing for a win, and Gobert seemed to find himself in their soft spots no matter what they tried. If they dropped into this 2-3 zone look, Minnesota were able to find the middle of the floor, force Gobert's man into help, and then pick out Gobert, who was roving along the baseline into open space. And that zone kind of shifted when Anthony Edwards was on the ball. It became this hybrid matchup zone kind of thing where multiple bodies would follow Edwards while the rest stayed in a zone formation. But Minnesota always had that break glass option in the middle of the zone. And even if they did have to get a bit funky with it, Gobert was always able to get behind the last line of defense and turn himself into an easier lob option. Really, it always came down to Minnesota putting fear into LA's defense. They fear Edwards, so they have to run 2 defenders at him like this, and they fear the shooting that's coming out of that, so 2 defenders panic on this closeout, and again, there's Gobert sitting behind the defense waiting for easy points. I feel like all of Minnesota's smoothest offensive possessions ended with Gobert in this game, but all of those possessions came about because the Lakers lost all of their composure as a defense who just couldn't find answers in this series. Whether it was Edwards as a scoring force, Randle as an offensive weapon, or Minnesota's crew of shooters, the Lakers were burning the defensive candle at both ends, and what they didn't account for was Gobert. Even when they succeeded in walling off an Edwards drive and setting these helpers in the paint, any sort of recycling forces the Lakers back into panic mode. Now they're back to blitzing and off the handoff. The low man is up on McDaniels because he's killed them all series, and Gobert rolls into space with nobody at the rim to do anything but foul him. By the end of this game, LA just lost sight of its steam completely and started overcommitting bodies in places they didn't even need to be, and again it was Gobert who benefited from that. Here, two players go with DiVincenzo off this pin down. Again, the only weak side helper is pressed up on Naz Reid, and Gobert strolls to the rim after slipping that screen. It was awesome to see Gobert kill off some playoff narratives and have a huge game in a huge moment, but I thought he was actually the embodiment of LA's desperation and their desolation in this game. As soon as they started to fall apart, it was Rudy Gobert there waiting to put the nails in their coffin. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to support Howls and Growls, you can become a member in the links below. If not, you can always like this video or subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. Thanks again for watching.